All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is December 25th, 2022. And again, traditionally, this is the day celebrated as the sun's birthday by many different spiritual beliefs. Of course, the pagans. The Catholic Church has celebrated this as the sun's birthday since the year 274 AD. There's a certain coach in the NBA who's coaching today who can pick up his 274th career win with his team. Anyhow, something I noticed today, not only is it celebrated also as Jesus' birthday, the Son of God, but it's also National Joshua Day. And of course, Joshua is the English translation of Jesus. I never noticed that before, and I do find that interesting. I always thought my name should have been Joshua, because growing up and even still recently, people continue to call me Joshua, even though that's never been my name. And even one of the Truth Seekers who was out pounding pavement with us in Spokane a couple years back, shout out to Vanessa, just out of nowhere, she called me Joshua. She said, "Oh my God, I just did it." I said, "I told you, people just always want to call me Joshua." But anyway, what's interesting about that is, again, if you're new here, Gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. Notice how Jesus equals 74 in Gematria. So does Joshua. They're both 74. And holiday 74. Holy day. Of course, English is 74. So was Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. So is energy. Again, it's a Jewish practice. Jesus is from Judea. And Yeshua, spelled that way, is also 74. But very special number is 74. And you think about this nation's birthday, another holiday on 7/4. But yeah, I never realized it was National Joshua Day, which makes sense. Again, it is the English translation of Jesus. So, on a darker note, this video is dedicated to the people who didn't quite make it to Christmas. And it seems like every year as Christmas rolls around, right as we come into the new year, and it's only been the new year in recent times, well, I guess since the 16th century, but not everyone even converted in the 16th century. But the calendar we're on was invented in the 16th century, the Gregorian calendar. Since then, other countries have been making the conversion to the Gregorian calendar. A lot of people were previously on the Julian calendar, which made a lot more sense. I really think we should go back to it. It would make so much more sense to have the new year come when everything is anew in the spring, rather than celebrate the new year in the time of natural death, when a lot of the plant life is dead. But anyhow, every year at this time, there is a lot of death in the world of celebrity, and a lot of times the deaths are suspicious. Yesterday on Christmas Eve in the news, Maxi, the lead singer of the group Faithless, dead at 65, Faithless, right before Christmas. And there is something very interesting about the Gematria of Faithless, but there's a pattern. Well, him being dead at 65 right before Christmas fits in with Christianity and him being a musician. But his name, his artist name, Maxi, has the same gematria as Christmas. And if you're new here, it is interesting how Christmas has that gematria of 38, because that's a fateful number. Again, the movie poster for Murder by Numbers, they code the 38 right in the numbers. Words like murder, words like death, killing, RIP, also gematria in English, they all equate to 38. And if you're new here, gematria is the alphabetic order. A is 1 up to Z is 26, where we began, where all those words equaled 74. You can also take the alphabetic order with numerology, then gematria in English become 38 instead of 74, like we talked about in the beginning. The word killing's just like that as well, too, 38 and 74. Again, 3 of the first 5 presidents died on July 4th in this nation with the 7/4 birthday. Adams and Jefferson again died July 4th, 1826, and then 1826 days later, Monroe died on 7/4. But anyhow, the pattern that's standing out to me about several of these deaths is 77. Recall we talked about Franco Harris dying earlier in the week, known for the Immaculate Reception. This year, the NFL season began September 8th on the Virgin Mary's birthday, who had the Immaculate Conception. But the name Franco Harris equals 77, and he died 77 days before his upcoming birthday, and the Immaculate Conception relates to Christ. Christ is a word gematria 77. Maxi Jazz's birth name was Maxwell Frazier, which also has the gematria 77. And then his June 14th birthday is also interesting. Jesus Christ has the gematria of 146. If you're new here, gematria, again, it's based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards with the rules of numerology. There's a star NFL quarterback who, if he wins today, his record will become 146-74. So we'll see if that happens. Again, the Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, 274. Last year in the NBA, there was a big 266 ritual. It was the Warriors game last year, and the Suns, of course, this is the Suns' birthday, but the Jesuit logo, the Jesuits are the military order of the Catholic Church, their logo is the sun with the letters IHS, which stands for Isus Hominum Salvator. Again, we're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope, who's the 266th Pope, and again, the motto also equals 274, and we run the alphabetic order forwards. Catholic Church has celebrated the sun's birthday on 12/25 since 274 AD. And again, 12/25 as a number has a square root of 35. Catholic equals 35. Holy See equals 35. The old name of Jesus, Jesus, has the gematria 35. And of course, the word I has the gematria 35, the occult belief that the sun is the eye of God. So anyhow, Maxi Jazz, who has all the right numbers for Christmas, who's a musician, is dead at 65, just before the holiday. And keep in mind the band was formed in 95, Faithless. The Jesuits were credited to counter the 95 Theses written by Martin Luther of the Protestant Reformation, meaning he's dead 27 years later. 27 Club in rock and roll. Notice how the word ritual has that gematria 27. And notice also how the word sun has that gematria of 27, as well as 54. It's the sun's birthday. Faithless also has the gematria of 54, and also 144, just like Jesuit order, 144 and 54. Notice Jesuit order is also 153, because in a moment we'll be talking about the death of a UFC fighter who made his name in UFC 153 and who's dead at age 45 on the day leaving 9 days left in the year. IHS 45. 45 is the ninth triangular number, the letters IHS inside the sun. Sorry if the numbers overwhelm you. I know some people, numbers make their head hurt. I don't understand why that is, because they're so compact and small, and to me a lot more simple than words. But anyway, these patterns are very redundant. So RIP to Maxi Jazz, dead just before Christmas, of the band Faithless. They said he died in his sleep, unexpectedly. And for another familiar pattern, he did die on his 193rd day of his age. That's the 44th prime number, fateful number in history, kills 44 like execution. So, RIP to Maxi Jazz. And again, his birth name, 77, Maxwell Frazier, also in the headlines just for Christmas. The inventor of chicken tiki masala, dead at age 77. The news of this broke December 23rd, 2022, a date with 77 numerology. However, if you read the story, that's not the day he died. He died 4 days earlier. He died on a date with 73 numerology. And all the headlines about him emphasize true national dish, talking about the UK and chicken tiki masala. But true national dish, the gematria is 73, like how he died on the 73 date numerology. And for the person who's new here, sacrifice has the gematria 73, as does ritual sacrifice. But interesting how the national headline was saved for the 77 date numerology about his death at 77, again, right before Christmas, where Christ is 77. And if you read the story, they mentioned that he invented the dish in 1964. Or excuse me, his restaurant where he invented the dish was opened in 64. It was years later at that same restaurant where he created it, but they made the point about how essentially his culinary career with that restaurant began in 64. That was 58 years ago. Just, again, we talk about these numbers a lot, especially in Washington, D.C., where these rituals come together often, but 58 and 77. So 58 years ago, he opened the restaurant, now dead at 77. Again, secret societies, large and in charge. Modern Freemasonry was created in London, England. Freemasonry, of course, has that gematria 58 as well. In Washington, D.C., on the 77th meridian, Freemasonry has its headquarters for the northern jurisdiction. But R.I.P. to this man. And with regards to the 77 theme, last night, Raiders played the Steelers in the anniversary of the Franco Harris game. By the way, just knowing your numbers, Steelers has the gematria 31 forwards, 50 in reverse. Last night, Derek Carr of the Raiders picked up his 31st road loss versus the AFC and his 50th loss versus the AFC in the regular season. And, of course, Pittsburgh's also 50. Kevin Green of the Steelers died at age 58, like Pittsburgh's also 58. His death was announced the same day as Franco Harris's, whose death was just more recently announced. But, of course, Steelers is also 103, like Franco Harris died 103 days after the 103rd NFL season began. And then last night, as they did the jersey retirement ceremony for Franco Harris, the score was 10-3. And, you know, not arbitrary, all ritualism. Najee Harris last night had 53 rushing yards in Week 16. 53, of course, the 16th prime. Those numbers always come together. Number 16, T.Y. Hilton, making his debut for the Cowboys, begins his career with a 53-yard reception. And if you were watching the game, you saw how the refs, after they set the spot, then they moved the spot back a yard right before they interrupted the game and moved the spot back a yard. It's like, okay, did they do that to make sure the reception was 53 yards and not 54 yards? And again, you guys, that is what they're doing. That's why the stat lines are perfect game after game. Pay attention to where refs spot the ball. The games are scripted. That's why the announcers are always saying you couldn't have scripted it any better. The careers are scripted. It's why the rituals are perfect. But anyway, during the Raiders game, the news broke of a former player dying. This happened with the Packers game on Monday Night Football. The Packer football player, whose name equaled 103, died on the 103rd day of the season as the Packers were picking up a symbolic Saturnalia win. Rodgers got his 93rd home win, and that's a big Saturn number. But anyhow, Cotton Davidson, who played for the Raiders, who wore the number 19 for the Raiders. Keep in mind, the Sun card in tarot is number 19. And by the way, right where we began with all the 74 words, tarot is another 74 word. But the 19th card of the tarot deck is the Sun card. Cotton Davidson, dead. And notice the gematria Cotton Davidson, 77. And this was the Franco Harris tribute game. In that same cipher where Cotton Davidson is 77, so is Franco Harris, 77. And again, Franco Harris died 77 days before his birthday. Then you have this game on Christmas Eve. And just for the record, you guys, we were talking about Jesus in 74 and Jesus Christ in 74. Christmas Eve is also 74. So is Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys, Eagles game, 74 points scored in it on Christmas Eve. Dallas 13, kept the Eagles on 13 wins. Dallas, Texas 71. Eagles fall to 7-1 away for the season, just like how the Cowboys became 7-1 at home in the game prior. But yeah, again, just all the patterns right before Christmas Eve. So Maxwell Frazier, 77. Ali Ahmad Aslam, dead at 77. Cotton Davidson in the Christmas Eve game. War number 19, dead at age 91. By the way, 91 is the 13th triangular number. NFL has that gematria 13, and that was the winning score last night of the Raiders-Steelers immaculate reception anniversary game without Franco Harris, who died unexpectedly days before. And the game, just like the Franco Harris game was won by the Steelers on a reception at the end, same thing happened in this game. The new quarterback Pickett threw the winning touchdown to Pickens, and for the 13th points. And the only other touchdown in the game was by the Raider Renfro, number 13. So, a lot of 13 action in that game. Also, UFC fighter Stephan Bonnar, dead at 45 on the day leaving 9 days left in the year. Again, 45, the 9th triangular number. You might recall Donald Trump, who became the 45th president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. It was the 27-year anniversary of the fall of the wall that they did that. You see how rituals 27 forwards, 45 in reverse. And again, Berlin Wall 45 forwards, 63 in reverse, whereas 2016 is the 63rd triangular number, the year they did that ritual. But Trump had that commercial from years before wearing the same suit and tie he wore for selection night, talking to Digital Sheep. And he says to the Digital Sheep with the number 9 on it, "Looking good, number 9, looking good." And in the background is Digital Sheep number 11. You only had Sheep 11 and 9, just like how they called the election forum on 11/9, the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. But again, 45, the 9th triangular number. This man dead at 45 on the day, leaving 9 days left in the year. And he died on his 263rd day of his age, December 22nd, 2022, which was a date with 56 numerology. 263 is the 56th prime number. Again, right before Christmas. Jesuits, Society of Jesus 56. And then also Jesuit Order 153. The story points out that he made a name for himself in UFC 153. Again, IHS, the Jesuit acronym, 45, Sun 9. This death right before Christmas as well. In fact, he's dead 3 days before Christmas on the 56 date numerology. 3 also has that gematria 56. Anderson Silva, UFC 153, highlighted fight. His name, Stephan Bonnar. Sorry if I'm saying his last name wrong. I'm not a big UFC guy, but his name has the gematria 147, like Ultimate Fighting Championship. And I did talk about how he died on his 263rd day of his age. You could also say he died 262 days after his birthday. Be another fair way to say it. But again, that's that Faustian bargain number, the deal with the devil. Like how the 262nd pick of the draft, Mr. Irrelevance, rolling with the 49ers. Like we thought he might. He had some very promising numbers that aligned nicely with the Niners. He's now 3-0 as a starter. So another big win yesterday for the Niners. Mr. Irrelevant, the 262nd pick of the draft. And I didn't even look at these emphasized phrases, but again, when they emphasize the words, changed the sport. 163, the 38th prime. Christmas 38, death 38. We were just talking about this. 73, like sacrifice, like ritual sacrifice. They got me stumped on the 242. 71 goes with Catholic. Big Catholic number. There's actually another emphasized phrase. One of the most important fighters. One of the most important fighters. So you see the 149? That's the 35th prime number. Again, 35, huge number with Christmas on 12/25, where 12/25 has the square root of 35. We just talked about this. Catholic, Holy See, Jesus. 373 is the 74th prime number, and we just started the stream with that. And again, that goes with everything from Jesus to killing. 148's fraternal. 410, I'm not sure about. But yeah, probably definitely not arbitrary. And then maybe the saddest death of all, 20-year-old actress supposedly committed suicide. You might recall at the beginning of this year, we had a lot of suicides in the world of celebrity to start the year. They announced right after that there was going to be a new national suicide hotline, which they released by the numbers. We've had some strange suicides in recent days, including the death of Twitch, Ellen's DJ from the Ellen DeGeneres show. And there's the same key pattern that I talked about with his death. This girl's remembered for a show called Fitor, if I'm saying that right. Notice how the gematria of that show, well, actually, you know what? Let's write that, and then let's write out the nickname of the DJ who's dead. Twitch. Let's compare. So Twitch and Fitor have the 83, 79, 34. And remember, Twitch's wife had just turned 34 years old, and he committed suicide right after their 9th wedding anniversary, where 34 is the 9th Fibonacci number, and 9 has to do with completion. But Fitor, actually all 4 ciphers are the same numerical values as murder, just backwards. Fitor's 8338, murder in reverse is 8338, and then Fitor in reverse is 7934, like murder is 7934, and then the word suicide itself is 34. So, again, Twitch supposedly committed suicide right after his wife turned, or they had the 9th anniversary while his wife was 34 years old. And you know, we talked about this number all year with the suicides. One of the zombies even made a national headline for committing suicide from the Walking Dead show. And there was more to it. But again, and not just all year. We've been talking about this same pattern with suspicious suicides for a long time. But this year, I think this year there was more celebrity-related suicides than any other. And again, it was the year that they introduced the National Suicide Hotline. This news broke on Christmas Eve. Her surname's Sharma. Her name is Tunisha Sharma. She's dead at 20, right? And right before Christmas, you guys, we've talked about this one so many times. In the most pure cipher, death is 20, cross is 20, time is 20, and the letter T, which is like a cross, is the 20th letter, right? So we're right before Christmas. The pagans who started the birthday of the sun on 12/25 used the cross with a circle right in the middle to represent the 4 seasons. But 20 years old and supposedly a suicide on Christmas Eve. And again, cross is 74. In reverse, the Egyptian cross is also 74 and also 20. And also 34, also like cross. She's closer to that part of the world. But and again, the news breaks on the 24th. Sharma 24. You know, the word holy is also 24. These rituals, holy holiday. She died 11 days before her upcoming birthday on January 4th. She would have been 21 years old. 11 days, again. And where Jesus is 74 with numerology 11. And notice how Jesus and cross are. 74, 61, 34 in the same ciphers. But again, Jesus Christ is also 74. Christmas Eve is also 74. And her character name that she played on the show that we were just talking about that had the overlap with murder, her character name has the 79 in it, also like murder. Notice the 47 and 101. Christian, 101, 47. Christian's also 61, like Jesus, like cross, like church, like Christmas. So, yeah, 11 days before her birthday. Supposedly a suicide. Hard to imagine, you know, young, pretty girl, actress, you know. But so much darkness in showbiz. And, you know, I'm hoping Pele makes it through today. But we know how often there's a big celebrity death on Christmas. Seems to happen year after year. Pele, one of the biggest sports stars in the history of the world. And, again, we've been getting the Pele stories by the numbers. And on, you know, right before Christmas, they put up an update that he's not looking well in the hospital with his daughter there hugging him in the bed. That photo's from December 23rd. So, anyway, if it does happen, it'll fit a long pattern. And then again, we talked about Tory Lanez the other day. The news broke while we were doing the live stream. But just think about it. Tory Lanez, who might be going to prison for as much as 22 years, they said, to close out 2022, his birth name is Daystar. Again, we broke this down the other day, so I'm not going to break it down again, but think about it. Just right before Christmas, Daystar, like the sun. Daystar. It was 27 years old when he was 27 when the ritual happened. It's Megan Thee Stallion who pressed charges, who's now 27. Again, sun has the gematria 27, as does ritual. And all these rituals are in time as dictated by the sun. They put out actually, hold on. I have not covered this story yet in a live stream. Notice that as Title 42 expires, they're saying Republicans bust migrants to Kamala Harris's house for the Title 42 ritual. We know about how 42 is stamped all over Black history. And I want to go back to this story from 2019. Kamala Harris, on the 42nd day of the year, took on the people who questioned her blackness. If you're not aware of this, there are a lot of people who say Kamala Harris isn't black at all. Her ancestry doesn't have any African descent. I don't know that that's true, but because this was brought up on the 42nd day of the year, she addressed this out of all days in Black History Month. And again, February has the gematria 42, like the slang term brothers. Bravo Mike is how a cop refers to a black male. The N-word has the gematria 42. If you don't know who Moses Walker is, he's the first black baseball player in white major league back in the 1800s. He played in exactly 42 games. We just saw what LeBron James did recently, coming out with the 42 hat. Shout out to the caller from New York who just pointed out that LeBron James' grandmother died when he was a child at age 42. Keep in mind, LeBron's going to turn 38 on December 30th. That's Tyrese's birthday, who sung Sweet Lady. That's Tiger Woods' birthday. And it's also LeBron's birthday. And the thing about December 30th is it's the only day of the entire calendar year where you can add the day plus the month, and it's 42, 12 plus 30. When you run it in reverse slavery, Jackie Martin, in the sitcom Martin, he lives in apartment 42. Kamala announced she was running for president on Martin Luther King Jr. On his birthday. Malcolm X, again, Martin and Malcolm X, neither of those were their assumed names. They both died by the numbers in a ritualistic code. You got the Cosby Show surname, Huxtable, Cosby Show, and you got a lot more. And at the time this happened, we were covering all these stories. Again, every year when Black History Month rolls around, there's just 42, 42, 42. It's the same thing every year. But at that time, it was Jussie Smollett, James Brown was back in the news, LeBron, Kamala, Cory Booker, Bill Cosby, Virginia Governor, Virginia Attorney General. You might recall how we used those stories to predict that Virginia would win the college basketball championship, which was right that year. Virginia Lieutenant Governor, Corey Maggette, also in the news, Kareem Hunt. And just wait till February comes around. It'll be the same thing, you guys. It's clockwork every year. They just come up with all these 42 rituals with black celebrities. It's deaths. It's ritual shaming. It's things like this. And now at the end of Title 42, it's Kamala. And also pay mind to the fact that the majority of the deaths this week, and seemingly year after year as we lead up to Christmas, are of people of a darker skin complexion. And this ritual is also happening here on Christmas Eve. Again, how does the New Testament begin? The story of Jesus. It begins with the 42 generations to Jesus. There's only one physical description left of Jesus in the New Testament. It's Revelation 1:14. And it would lead you to think that Jesus was of a darker complexion, at least of some kind of African descent. And again, notice how New Testament has the gematria 42 forward, 66 in reverse. Math is 42 forward, 66 in reverse. The New Testament begins with Matthew, and the 42 generations of Jesus, it concludes with Revelation, the 66th book of the Bible. And we were talking about the sun in 27. There's 27 books in the New Testament. 39 in the Old Testament for a total of 66. But Matthew 27, like son. The Son of God, who the Catholic Church has us celebrating his birthday on the sun's birthday. Astrotheology. And just one more time, again, in case you missed the shorter video yesterday, Carrie Lake. It's funny, I was telling you how I was just talking with Jake Cup. One of the things he asked me about, that's Cooper Cup's grandpa, talking to him about why I think the NFL's rigged and politics and all of it. He was buying more into the politics being rigged, and I explained to him, they were big Trump people, but I was saying, listen, man, I'm telling you, Trump's no different than Biden, who you can't stand. And I was explaining the rituals. He was listening. He was getting it. But he asked me about Kari Lake, and I said, oh, I doubt it'll get overturned in her favor. I said, everything right now is rigged more for the Democratic side, and he had no problem agreeing with that. But I talked to him about why Trump put in so many Supreme Court justices and his connection to 47 and how important that number is in D.C., and how Biden also put in his first Supreme Court justice on 4-7, like Trump. Well, I mean, I doubt he counted it up himself, but he asked me about Kari Lake. And again, I mean, the Kari Lake appeal gets rejected a span of 47 days from the election. And I was explaining to him how judge, gavel, obey, authority, government, Republican, Democrat, D.C., Trump, how all these things have this value of 47. I explained the base ciphers to him, alphabetic order, forwards and backwards. He was able to follow along and get it all. I mean, he's a sharp guy. But anyway, 47, span of 47 days. You could also say it was 46 days later, and this is what Hobbs wanted to hear, right? Hobbs is 46. The judge who made the ruling works in the Phoenix Mesa area. Mesa is the suburb of Phoenix. Phoenix is also 46. And by the way, just another big Catholic number. Goes in the time of Biden, number 46. You know, it's favorable to him. He got the election results he was hoping for. The Democrats held on to the Senate. It wasn't as big of a red wave as they were expecting, but Catholic 46 as well. So it was 46 days after the election, or a total span of 47 days. And again, think of Judge Judy the other year defending her $47 million a year salary to be the TV judge. But again, conspiracy is the big word with this. Kari Lake said there was a conspiracy, and the ruling comes 123 days after her birthday. ABC 123 in Gematria Conspiracy 123. We've seen it all before. And again, also on a 42-date numerology was this ruling for the Arizona election. So, anyhow, let me see if there's any other breaking news right now before I wrap it up. Kamala, still the top story. And a lot of people without power for the holiday. I mean, how tragic, right? Freezing cold on Christmas. And, I mean, we saw this coming. I mean, we know this is what they've been simulating, the darkest winter. The repeating of the darkest winter phrase that they said so many times. A lot of people right now having their darkest winter. A 19-year-old fatally shot at America's biggest mall in Minnesota. Remember, George Floyd killed on the corner of 38th Street in Minnesota. Minnesota has that Gematria 30. Minnesota's actually a lot like Christmas. The same in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. The one cipher where it's different, 52, like how Minnesota hosted Super Bowl 52. Christmas 61, Vikings established in 1961. It's 61 years later. They began the year 6-1. They also began the year 6-1 at home. Last night, on Christmas Eve, they win it with a record 61-yard field goal for the team. But yeah, a 19-year-old at a shopping mall, right? Where they've converted Christmas really into the consumer holiday. Again, just it's the son's birthday, the 19th card of the tarot deck's the sun card, so that's what stands out to me about that national headline. Sometimes I wonder if any of these stories are even true, or if it's just all ritual to just like put more low vibration energy in the news for the holiday, you know, trying to be positive. And again, I mean, that's why, you know, ultimately, you guys, I wish I didn't even have to do these videos. I wish I never had to create this YouTube channel. Because focusing on this stuff, it is dark. It's low vibration every day. But, again, the reason we do it is because so many people are sucked in by the media, and they don't see what the programming really is, and they don't see how ritualistic it is, and how it's meant to control their mind and make them become the victims of agendas, like giving up their rights and liberties and their bodily sovereignty and giving into the nonstop fear that's pumped in the news every day. But also, so many people celebrate this world of celebrity, and again, it's, you know, for all the young children growing up who want to be star athlete, a singer, a movie star. I don't think you'd really want to do that if you saw what was really going on. I mean, you could be the next, Tunisha Sharma. I highly doubt this girl committed suicide. I highly doubt it. Just like I highly doubt Twitch committed suicide. Just like I highly doubt all the people at the beginning of the year whose deaths we covered committed suicide. Actress from Cincinnati's son commits suicide right before the Bengals go on their big winning streak and sneak into the Super Bowl at the start of the year of the Tiger when Joe Burrow's the Bengal Tiger who played for the LSU Tigers who beat the Clemson Tigers in the championship. People forget that at the beginning of the year. Remember, Joe Burrow transferred from Ohio State to LSU the same day Billy Cannon died, who died on the day that Ignatius Loyola was shot with a cannonball in history. He's the founder of the Jesuits. And then again, Billy Cannon, the only LSU player to win the Heisman until Joe Burrow did it. And Billy Cannon also won the championship over Clemson in New Orleans, just like Joe Burrow did it. Of course, I went down to New Orleans to educate about all that after it happened, which I guess might have been a life-changing experience. I was being in hotel room number 201 and getting the call about 201, find out how important that number was to the Jesuits. Meeting Jeremy White and all the other people who came out. But shout out to Cade if he's out there. Cade was the first person to come out. We had a good experience on the LSU campus. First 2 men out there sharing the knowledge. I'll never forget that we had a long conversation with 2 professors who were like on their lunch break, and they spent their whole hour lunch break with us. And I asked them if I could do like a short video, if they could, because they thought the information was very powerful. They're like, this is mind-blowing. I was like, is there any way I could get like this on a video of you guys talking about how you received this information? And they both looked at each other. They're like, we think we want to keep our jobs. I was just like, that's the way it is, you guys. I mean, that's why I always say, like, I wish people would step up and help us out. You know why they're not stepping up and helping us out? The people who out there could? Because they want to keep their job. So, and realize, I mean, the reason I got kicked out of my job is for doing this work. I can't teach anymore because I did this. But this is also a form of teaching. And in a way, I have a way bigger audience than I'd ever have in a classroom. So, all things good and bad. Yeah, Joe Burrow last year, the 4 teams he faced in the playoffs. He faced the Raiders. He faced the Titans, who used to be the Houston Oilers. He faced the Chiefs, and he faced the Rams. Billy Cannon was drafted into the NFL by the Rams, played for the Raiders, the Houston Oilers, who are now the Titans, and the Chiefs, all 4 teams that Joe Burrow played. And those are the only 4 teams that Billy Cannon played for. And again, the odds of him dying the same day that Burrow transfers to LSU. I was talking to Mr. Cup about that, and because, again, at first he was saying that he didn't think all this stuff could be rigged and nefarious. I was telling him things like that, and you could just see how, like, his mind was changing, and his wife was like, God, this stuff is really dark. And I said, yeah, that's why that's why I didn't bring this up to you guys, but since my neighbor passed on, again, if you guys missed that conversation, I titled it, like, the most interesting conversation of my life. Again, I wasn't planning on talking about this to him, but one of my neighbors brought it up to them, and then they wanted to ask me about it, and I'd probably still be there talking to them about it. They didn't want me to leave, but I told them I had to go, and I did. And they're like, we're going to have to continue this conversation. I said, okay, we can definitely continue the conversation. It's amazing how many things I talked to him about that just since those few days have passed, just like everything I've talked about has manifested even more clearly. So told them all about 201 and the Jesuits. Boom, next thing you know, the ridiculous spending bill with the numbers all over it. 225 votes in favor, 201 against. Not arbitrary. Both big numbers with the Catholics and the Jesuits. So, all right, I see somebody gave me a super chat on Christmas. I appreciate the Christmas gift. Let me find out who that was and say thank you real quick. Sweet Lady's sleeping in this morning, so it gave me a chance to get on here and do a stream. Sweet Lady has her first day off in like the last 6 weeks. Might have been longer than that. It's been forever since she had a day off, but she's enjoying the Christmas break to sleep in this morning. And I didn't think I was going to have a chance to do a live stream because our plan is we're just doing Christmas, just 2 of us over here. We actually don't even have any presents to open this year. But That's okay. We're gonna make some food. She actually wanted to try making out. She's not really a sweet tooth, but she wanted to try making some kind of recipe. Okay, it's not cooperating here, trying to open the window, but I can see the names of the people who donated. Quana, thank you very much, Quana. Quana donated 5, and John Mendoza. I'm trying to read your comment, but it's not opening the window. John Mendoza said, thanks for the knowledge. I found out that in my hometown, I can see that much, but for some reason, the window to read the rest of it just will not load. It's being Scrooge. Sorry, John, I'm trying to open it up, but it just gives me the blank window when I open up past where it's written. It says, thanks for the knowledge. I found out that in my hometown... I'll come back later. I'll try to reload it one more time in case it just needs a reload. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we had freezing rain out here yesterday. I feel bad for people who need to fill up their car with gas because it created like a sheet of ice on everyone's car. You couldn't even open up your gas cap. We were dealing with that yesterday. Like, oh, did you want to travel for the holidays? Try driving on that ice rink. Let's see. There we go. Got it to work. Just need a little reload. John Mendoza said, thanks for the knowledge. I found out that in my hometown, Donna, Texas, we have a Freemason temple. Well, it's hard to find a town in America that does not have a Freemason temple. And you know what? Donna would be a fitting place for a Freemason temple. Donna does have that gematria 48, like Freemason. Also like Illuminati. It might have Adam Weishaupt's plan to infiltrate Freemasonry with the Illuminati. And then again, that brings the Jesuit Freemason connection together. Kind of like how Donald Trump's 48 and Freemasonry's 58, and he announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower, only to win the 58th presidential election, only to hire the 58-year-old Steve Ray to do the inauguration, only for Hillary to put out her book, What Happened About Why She Lost, which is also 58. Of course, Secret Society, again, one more time, is 58. And again, just doing all these rituals under the stars, right? Calendar 58, Zodiac 58, Gregorian 58, Star 58, Stars 58. So, Stars got the 58 and 77 like Secret Society. But okay, if you guys want to watch how it's done on Christmas, let me show you a channel you should check out. Yeah, right, The Matrix is out with his big wheel. he's got the tire shop, so he knows his tires to have in the snow. This guy's out driving around Buffalo right now, looking for people who are stranded in the snowstorm. And we can tune into his stream real quick. I got the volume off, but this is what he wanted to do for Christmas this year. He's driving around Buffalo after the terrible snowstorm, looking for people who need help, who need to be pulled out of the snow, need a lift somewhere, need a place to go to a shelter. So anyway, if you guys want to tune into Yeah Right, The Matrix, he's doing something very cool for Christmas. And for people wondering what kind of vehicle he's getting around in the snow, he's got a big Jeep Wrangler 4x4 with jumbo tread tires on it. So that's what you need for weather like this. And man, we're getting a lot of snow out here this year. People are telling me this is one of the worst winters in terms of snow that they've had in a while. It's funny, when I moved to Yakima, they had their worst snowstorm in like 30-some years, and it's the same type of thing this year now that I moved again to an even smaller town, more eastern Washington. So he's like, I don't have time for this red light. Man, look at how deep that snow is down that road. I'll tell you what, my car would be stuck. He'd be pulling me out right now. So anyway, shout out to Yeah Right, The Matrix, who's looking for people who need help and being the good Samaritan that he always is. All right, again, if you guys want to check out his channel, Yeah Right, The Matrix, have a great Christmas or whatever holiday you're celebrating, and hopefully you get to enjoy some time with friends and family. I think when the weather clears up, I'm going to have to make a trip down to the hometown Portland. I did tell my family I would be down, but it's pretty hard to drive right now over the mountains with what we got out here. So, all right, you guys, have a great rest of your day. Be sure to give everyone in the community who's doing the good work a sub. Shout out to the Shark. The Shark gave us all early Christmas presents in New York with the Truth Seeker discount. I'll never forget it. Make sure you guys sub D26, Kayla D Code Talker, and again, everybody else doing the good work. Disambiguation 144. So, hey, Coffee Girl, good to see you in the chat. Coffee Girl, I did get your mail. Thank you for the work, and I totally get what you're saying, but it's nice to see you around here, and it's also hard to please everyone. Shout out to Mr. Futures. There's another guy that needs a sub. So, all right, you guys, have a great rest of your day. Till next time.